This weekend, South Carolina Congressman Tim Scott will continue those presidential town hall meetings for voters to meet candidates and Republican leaders. On Saturday, it's Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell who will headline that event. He also chairs the Republican Governors Association. And he joins me now. Governor McDonnell, you know, after a 1-2 punch like what Mitt Romney lost, winning Iowa, then winning New Hampshire by a substantial margin, granted in his backyard, the assumption then is, okay, do more people jump on the bandwagon? What do you hear from the members of the RGA? Are we going to start seeing a bunch of endorsements in the next couple of days?
Chuck, first, Happy New Year, and congratulations on the second anniversary of your show. Great job.
Yes, very nice. Thank you, sir.
Hey, listen, you're welcome. Mitt's done something nobody's done for about 35 years or so, and that's to win Iowa and New Hampshire back-to-back. Different electorates, and I think it's certainly pretty impressive to have done that. And he's been the steady one at anywhere from 20 to 30% along the way, now nearly 40 in New Hampshire. So I think he's got some momentum. South Carolina is certainly a test where I think some of the other candidates are showing some momentum as well. So I think if he does well in South Carolina, then I think it gets a little easier down the road for him. What other governors may do at this point, I don't know. Very few have made endorsements at this point. But it's certainly possible here in the near future that that many will weigh in. I've said that I hope, I think the best candidate for our team would be a governor or former governor, simply because when you look at what's broken in Washington, somebody needs to know how to create jobs and balance budgets. Governors do that.
You know, Speaker Gingrich is making the case that there is an alternative message that could defeat Governor Romney. The question, of course, for a lot of conservatives, is there an alternative messenger? But let me get to the message. And he's making the case about the conservative populism, that is what's missing here. That is where Governor Romney is struggling. And he makes the case that saying, look, there is still a big chunk of the Republican electorate that is uncomfortable with big business as much as they're uncomfortable with big government. What do you say to that?
Well, I'd say that there's a handful of important issues that are going to determine who's the next president of the United States, and that is who can get the greatest country on earth back to fiscal health and get us out of these debts and deficits, and who's got the best vision to reinvigorate the free enterprise system to get Americans back to work. That to me is what's at stake in this upcoming election. Everything else is pales. And I think that the message of traditional values and fiscal conservatism that our party believes in is part and parcel of that message. So I think many of our candidates have had very solid messages on that. But the final factor is who can best beat President Obama in a debate and at the polls, and I think that's what's going to determine who wins the primary.
But I want to talk specifically about these attacks on Governor Romney's time at Bain Capital. Do you think Speaker Gingrich's attacks on him are fair?
Well, there's a lot of people that say everything's fair, love war and politics. That's up for others to decide whether it's fair. I can say that, part of what this country is about achieving the American dream. We want to have less class warfare and more people that have the opportunity to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. It's what our founders believed in when they wrote these founding documents 235 years ago. So I think we ought to celebrate success and not criticize people for getting it. Now, we need to have a good civic corporate responsibility, and those are fair issues. But overall, being successful in business, I think, is a good thing.
You just used the phrase class warfare. Do you think Speaker Gingrich and Rick Perry are tiptoeing on the line of class warfare in these attacks on Bain?
No, but I think President Obama is. I mean, this 99% versus 1, I think is the epitome of that. If you look at who contributes most to philanthropy in this country, I guess it's that 1%. And so I think these attacks are really unfounded. And ones that undermine the basic tenets of the American dream. We ought to celebrate more people being able to be successful and making it financially or politically or in the other measures of success in life, and not criticize it. So I think that's not healthy for our country, and people that have shown success in any walk of life ought to be uplifted as a model.
And just, do you see Bain Capital as something that was a job-creating place, wealth-creating place? Is it an either-or proposition?
No, listen, I haven't looked into all the details and all the attacks that are being made, but people that are in venture capital firms are the ones that provide the seed capital for the small business, for the entrepreneur, as well as big businesses. They buy, they manage, they sell companies, but their job is to make a profit for the investors, just like a publicly traded company's job is to make money for the shareholders, large and small. So, I mean, that's part of our democratic capitalist system that we've got in America, and I think people might make fair value judgments as to whether or not somebody was had civic responsibility in the discharge of their duties, but venture capital is very important to build American business.
Very quickly, more people going to get on the Virginia ballot now?
Well, that's up to the courts, I think, at this point. There's only two that qualified, Chuck, and that's Romney and Paul, and unless the courts do something else, that's it.
All right, Governor Bob McDonnell, who will be in South Carolina. We'll call it your first trip of 2016 or 2020. I'm teasing. Governor McDonnell, thanks for coming on this morning.
Hey, Chuck, the surf looks good in Myrtle Beach this time of year. I'm going to go check it out.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming on. Next.